completing the edit on Lightroom tutorial. Even if you took photo one with me, this is a new tutorial. If you didn't take photo one with me, this is definitely a new tutorial. But you are going to need to open Lightroom, not Lightroom Classic. It will not work. And I have a video on how to install and get Lightroom up on your account if you have never used it or need a refresher. Mine's going to be a little bit different just because I'm working on my Mac. My view is. Once I'm in Lightroom, though, it's all the same process. So if you need help finding and opening up Lightroom, I have a video right here, and or just ask and get help. But for this assignment, you are going to need to get these 5 photos into a folder on your computer. I recommend right-clicking on it and download or save image as, and then put it into your folder. You can name this Lightroom Tut or Lightroom Tutorial, whatever you prefer, but make sure you name it something. Now for this assignment, you are going to need to copy what I do for these 5 photos exactly. You need to copy exactly as I do it. Hint, hint, hint though, I'm going to do something unique for one of these photos that you are going to have to do as well to make sure that you watched and followed along. But these 5 photos exactly as I do it, just for this assignment. Every other editing assignment, you get to do it how your little heart desires. I'm going to open up Lightroom. I've already got my images in a folder on my desktop. So I use Lightroom all the time, and if you took photo one with me, you know the benefits of Lightroom. I'm going to minimize this just so we have access to what we need to do. So first thing that we need to do once you open up Lightroom, yours is going to be different than mine, but we need to add photos into Lightroom. So you're going to need to navigate in your panel and find your folder some sorts. Mine's called Lightroom Examples. I'm going to review this folder. Notice I haven't selected the image, because if I do this one, it's only going to do this one image. I'm selecting the folder to review for import. And now all 5 are in here. If for any reason a photo is grayed out and unselected, that's telling you it's already in Lightroom and you can't add in a photo that's already there. So I am going to click Add Photos, add these 5 photos, top right hand corner. Photos are in. I'm just going to slide this window to the side. This is just our navigation panel of how to get to your photos. If for any reason you ever have an issue, you just click on your catalog and you will see the photos. This is called your film strip down here. And on our assignment, there are editing tasks for every single photo so you know what you need to do. And I'm going to go in order of these. So we're going to start with our hands photo first. Now, if for any reason you have never used Lightroom, so left hand is kind of our library accessing our photos. Right hand side is going to be editing our photos. And then we also have a control area up on the top. Same for over on the very top bar. This is also our control panel to do stuff in our photos. But the very first thing that we're going to do is crop our image for stronger composition, especially with this little sliver of the backdrop. So our crop tool is right here. I'm going to skip the tour because I know what I'm doing. And when you hit the crop, you'll see we get our 3x3 grid, which is really nice. And I'm going to take this image in to get rid of our unwanted areas. Generally, this is like the first thing that you should do when you're editing is cropping stuff and getting rid of anything that's taking away. Then we're going to remove any distracting elements. Zoom in and see if we have any distracting. Maybe a little niplet right there. So to remove that distracting, I'm going to go to my eraser. And we have our heel. This is remove. This is our clone. So similar in Photoshop, a clone stamp is going to take pixels from another area and put it somewhere where you want it. Remove, it's going to use AI to remove stuff, and generally you just try to have your mouse or your area to just cover the area that we want. And then I'm going to remove it. AI is generally pretty good, but we do need to know how to handle things in case it fights us. And then if you need to move around your photo when you are zoomed in, hold your space bar and then you can see it. And that looks like about the only really distracting thing. If you see anything else that's distracting, get rid of it. That I don't mind them. So we'll remove that. Boom, good. Okay. Let's adjust our basic light settings. So I'm going to unclick the erase tool just to clean this up. And then basic edit settings are our kind of like control tabs. And then we have our light option. And let's zoom out so we can see this. I generally like to bump up my contrast is a big thing that I generally do in my photos. So I'm going to bump up contrast. I generally kind of like a little bit of a darker photo, so I'm just taking it down to negative 0.15. My contrast was plus 25. Anything else that you might want to do, maybe you want to make your whites whiter, maybe you want to make your blacks blacker or less black so you can see. It really depends on what you want to do. Actually, now that I see this, I'm going to crop this top area as well. Those crooked lines for me are a little distracting. Okay, so let's click our light just to get rid of that area, and we're going to enable our lens corrections. So let's go to our optics, enable lens corrections. You click it, play. Oh yeah, and that's getting the background the way that I like it. We're also gonna remove our chromatic aberration. What that is, when I zoom in, you can see there's kind of like this weird outline along the edge of my image, and that lens chromatic aberration is just trying to clean that up so it's crispier. So I'll uncheck it, check it. You're not gonna really see it unless you're zoomed in, and I can barely tell a difference, but there is. Like, it's a little fuzzier on the outside when it's unchecked. When it is checked, it's a little bit cleaner. And if it's a good photo, generally you don't have to do too much editing. It depends on what you want to do. So we're done with our hands. Let's move on to our masking, or excuse me, our runner. We're going to start off, with our basic global correction. So we're going to edit this whole photo in a general sense. So like before, I always like my contrast to be a little bit popping. This one I might make my whites a little bit whiter. And let's go to our color as well too. Let's make our a little bit more vibrant. Let's go +8 with vibrant. So not bad. I adjusted the light right there and a little bit of the color for the whole picture. So we adjusted the whole picture. A good thing to do though when we are editing is thinking in parts of our picture though. Like, I want you to look at this photo. Does anything seem darker than the rest? The runner, obviously. It's a lot brighter in the background. And when I did my global, the whole photo editing, it doesn't change it separately the way that I want to. So what we need to utilize in Lightroom is this thing called masking. So our mask is this circle with the dotted around it. And there's AI built into this. So we are going to mask our subject and then we're going to brighten it. So right up at the top, these are AI usable masks. So if I click on my mask, and I always have it so I can see it as well too. Boom. But you're going to see right here, the red is not the edit. The red is just showing you what is selected. And when I move my mouse off of it, the red goes away. And up here, the white is also showing you what is selected within your mask. Now, when you are using a mask, it's only going to edit that area. So I am going to bump up my brightness. Maybe I'll do my exposure on just my runner. And I don't want it to look like separate from my background. I'm trying to find a nice happy medium to where she looks brighter, but she doesn't seem separate from the background. So I'm liking around like 0.96, I think is really nice. Really nice. But let's edit our background maybe a little bit darker just so it blends in. So I could go in and go plus, new mask, and do the background if I wanted to. But a nice thing to do, just so you guys are aware, is when I already have my subject selected, I can right click on the mask. And if I duplicate and invert the mask, I'm going to duplicate it and make everything other than my subject selected. So let's bring our exposure down maybe for just the background. Maybe we'll bring up the highlights though to try to match it. And I'm going to bring down, actually I think I'm going to bring up my shadows a little bit in the background. And that I'm liking. So background separately, people face masking. Okay, so let's go back to our masking. Cool, we can add, and if you notice as well too, we've got a person mask. So it's reading our photo, and when you have multiple people that seem like the subject, which I'll show you in the fire photo, it's going to have the people's faces and I can select them individually. But let's go into, let's add another mask, and I want you guys to select the sky, just the sky. Let's do that. Okay, so let's scroll down and let's make this sky a little bit more blue. So I'm just going to click the light to get rid of it, and I'm going to change my temperature to be just a little bit more blue because we're the Chargers. We want things to look like our school colors. That I'm liking, but I do want, it's kind of like a solid blue. I'm going to take away from this mask. So in this mask area, I can add to the mask, I can take away. We're going to subtract with the mask, subtract from the mask with a brush. And once I get my brush up, it's going to show me my brush. This is the size of the brush, and I want my brush to feather, meaning it's going to fade. I want my flow to flow really well, basically thinking like it's easy to move it, and the density looks great. I just want it to fade a little bit from the bottom just so it looks a little bit lighter. I'm going to take my density down. Boom. And you can even make, maybe I'll undo and make my brush bigger. Right bracket can make it bigger. Oh yeah, that's going to be nicer. That I like a lot better. Boom. And I can even subtract around her so it's a little bit lighter. Oh, that looks really nice. That looks really good. So masks, I cannot stress, are so important. You can see all of our different masks right here, and I can hover and it will show you in the red. I cannot stress to you guys, masks in editing your photos and parts is so, so, so important. Okay, let's go to our basketball player, and we're going to mess with our color and Photoshop. Oop, I need to have both these selected. Mine's a little bit different than your guys's. Okay, so we're going to adjust our color. I'm going to unselect the mask. We're going to go right here. We're going to go to our color and our color mixer. We're going to adjust, this is HSL, hue, saturation, luminance. So the hue is what do the colors look like? If you adjust, it's going to adjust. Ooh, I'm liking this because the oranges are popping. Let's go plus 42 in our oranges. how colorful do we want to get? Let's go like plus 23 for color. And luminous, let's go like plus 50. So it's gonna like glow. Love it. Then we have color grading. Color grading. So if you've ever taken videography, you know what color grading is. But color grading, so these are my midtones, these are my shadows, these are my highlights. I am going to take my shadows to be a little bit bluer. Moving it down here. And I'm going to make my highlights to be a little bit more orange, because these are complementary colors. And this gives it kind of like a cinematic vibe as well too. My midtones, I want to stay in that white area, but you can always adjust these depending on how crazy you want it to be. I'm going to do it to be around like 59. That I'm really liking. Okay, same thing. We're going to go back to our mask now, and let's select our subject, and let's make him pop a little bit more, bringing up our contrast. Contrast up. Let's go plus 60. Really digging that. And let's go background. So I'm going to duplicate and invert the mask. And I'm going to maybe bring my contrast down a little bit for the background. Yeah, negative 0.48. Loving it. I'm digging that. Let's click out of this. But the one thing I do not like about this image is the placement of the light. And ooh, we need to get rid of... Let's zoom in. Control plus. Of our cord right here we need to get rid of. So we don't want to try to go too big with our selection. You generally just want to try to get it to cover the area that you want. Not much more. Let's see if AI can do it for us. Oh, nice job, AI. That I don't mind, but I don't like that I can see this light right here, the placement of it. So the beauty of Adobe products is that they are supposed to work interchangeably. So I'm going to, in my film strip, right click on the photo, and then we're going to edit in Photoshop, or up Control E. And it's going to open up Photoshop. It's going to take a little bit. But any big digital manipulation has to be done in Photoshop. Here's what we're going to do to get rid of the shorts. I'm going to take... So this is our digital manipulation. I'm going to take the sides of his shorts right here. I'm going to copy and paste that so it's its own separate layer. And keep manipulating it. Right here, I'm going to change the type, and we're done sizing it. So let's see if we can change our overlay. Darken color. Yes, okay. Let's go to our eraser tool. Actually, you know what? Let's add a mask to this. So mask you can use in Photoshop as well too. So I'm going to add a mask down here. It doesn't look like I've done anything. Go to your brush tool. I'm currently on my foreground, so it's not going to look like I'm going to do anything. But when you hit the X button, my background is now selected. I'm just going to take down my opacity. I want to go a nice, soft, round brush because we want to fade this. So zooming in is always good, and I often will kind of do it via some clicks. So you're going to hear my keyboard just going crazy for a second. I just want to get rid of that really intense highlight. And just blending, 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 blending. You just have to get rid of that line. That line is a dead indicator that we edited it. And obviously, if it's really dark too, oops, take that down. Let's bring our opacity really low. And I just lightly kind of paint over it. That I do not mind. The shorts are way less distracting. So I'll show you by unviewing it. Look at that brightness. That's with our shorts edited. That I like so much better. Okay, to get it back into Lightroom, hit Control S. It's saving down here. Once this blue is done, we're able to close it. And right now it's importing from Photoshop. So we're going to see, the only downfall is it's going to have a new recently added. And there we go. So I'm just going to crop this photo a little bit. Boom. Let's put him right in the middle. And I like that so much more, especially with the blues and oranges. Okay. Done. Let's go back. So navigation. We need to go to our fire photo. We're going to recover our highlights. So we're going to go to our lights in our edit tab. And we're going to bring up our highlights just a little bit. We're going to recover our shadows, so bring them down to be a little bit darker. Oh, I like -4, not a lot. Let's adjust our whites and our blacks. So I want it to be a little bit warmer of a color. And I want to take a look to see what's happening with my flames. So I'm going to bring it down to I want to see the detail of it. -74 for the whites. I'll obviously just kind of go back and forth to see what I'm liking. And to really get that campfire vibe, let's go -14. Let's go to our effects. Try to take down the texture so it's a little bit smoother. If I take up the texture, you're going to see the pixels a little bit more. Dehazing is going to just make it a little more contrasty, but it's trying to get rid of the haziness. It is telling me for some reason I am not able to, with this photo, adjust my denoise and my super resolution, or my denoise at all. Probably because I shot in JPEG and not in RAW, so that's something to keep in mind. But we also are going to sharpen this photo to about 100. Boom, so it's nice and crispy for what we want to see. And then what we can do, let's compare how it's looking. So if you right click in your photo and let's compare before and after. Boom. And if we want, we can keep going and maybe, you know what? Let's add a preset filter to this. So in preset filters, there's sometimes AI ones with our recommended. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. But you have, let me get rid of this guy. And honestly, a lot of the times with your filters, you might just throw on a preset filter. But it's divided by adaptive. Let's go this retro filter. Auto Retro 2. I'm digging that. Once you apply a preset filter, you can also control how much is there. So I think it's a little too bright. So let's go 90 with ours. And then we can compare before, after. It does give it kind of a retro vintage vibe. Digging it. Lastly, we just have our corgi, so we get a photograph or edit Dewey. So we're going to adjust our color. So I am going to raise up a little bit of the yellows, a tiny bit of the purples because it was telling me to, but I didn't like how much it had. So you can always do auto and see if you like it. And if you don't like it, you can kind of play around with what it is set for the settings. I'm liking that color. Let's see if there's a preset filter. So later on, I'm going to show you guys how to find preset filters and also how to make your own preset filter. Wes Anderson. So I am going to find my Wes Anderson one and apply that. You are going to choose your own preset filter. I still want it to be a colored one, but you can choose whatever you want for your image. You choose your preset filter. Boom, down here's our focal range, so you can see. So you can adjust your f-stop, your focus in Lightroom when you are editing. So I'm going to visualize the depth. That's cool. Okay, so closest, farthest away. So let's say I want my background to be really blurry. There's a bokeh effect. We have different types of bokeh as well too. And it really depends on what you are doing. A lot of the times you really just need to play around in your editing to see how it's affecting your picture. Let's add lots of blur with our bokeh effect. Keeping cat eye down, let's increase our bokeh. That I'm happy with. I'm going to get rid of those. And then we are going to also add a vignette. So a vignette is in effects. You can add a white going to the positive. I usually will go with a darker vignette I really like. So let's go -41. I do like grain. So let's add a little bit of grain for a little bit of a vintage vibe. Let's go plus 75-ish for grain. And that I am liking. Before, after. Not a huge difference, but if it's a good photo, you don't need to make a big difference. But we always edit to enhance our photos. Your guys' photos should look exactly like mine. This is before, after. On all of the photos except for your dewy one because you're going to choose your own preset filter. Let me know what you guys have questions with, what you need help with.